video is entitled Use Case Diagramming. It's video 4B for the Systems Analysis and Design course. I'm Dr. Renaud from Shawnee State University, and I'll be taking you through this video. On the Blackboard site for this class, there's a second use case video that's more tightly produced and has a lot more information, but I wanted to kind of give you this lecture like I was doing it in class to go along with that other video. So you've got two videos on the same material. I'd suggest watching both of them. Basically, the thought, a picture is worth 1,000 words. I mean, that's the old adage that everybody always says. So the use case diagram is a way to put all of the use cases together with the actors and the relationships between them in a nice, pretty simple way to communicate the system. You still have to generate the written use cases, both casual and fully dressed, but the diagram gives us a nice, pretty picture of where everything falls and how it's all connected. There are three basic symbols, and then there are some arrows and arrow types, but we'll talk about the symbols. The most important symbol is the use case, and it's just represented by an oval, an oblong, a square with rounded corners, whatever, but it's represented by a oval. And in the oval, I want you to put a verb or a verb phrase. Do something. Get cash, log into system, remove item from cart. Those all start with a verb. They're verb phrases. So just put a verb phrase in that box to represent the use case you're going to have that goes along with this. In this box, by all means, use jargon. Use business abbreviations, use whatever you need to. Just make it concise, make it understandable. Because remember, you're writing this for your users, you're writing this for your systems people. If they understand your shorthand, by all means, use it. This is all about communication, this diagram is. And the other thing is, when we lay these use cases, these cases on our diagram, we kind of want them to go from top to bottom, left to right, and just kind of flow down the page. And we'll talk about that. But by all means, use abbreviations, use jargon, use a verb phrase. The next symbol that you want to use is the actor. And for the actor, just draw a stick figure. The actor represents roles, not titles. I don't want person's title. I don't want vice president. I don't want name, Bob. I don't want that. I want what is their role in the system. Just like with an actor, I don't want lead actor. I don't want Johnny Depp. I want the character he's playing, the role he's playing. There are a couple of special actors that you may want to add to your system. An actor called the system actor, which would represent things that the system does all by itself, because sometimes there are use cases that get triggered by the system triggering them. There are also use cases that get triggered by time, temporal. They get triggered every day, or they get triggered every hour, or they get triggered on a periodic basis, quarterly, whatever. So you may have an actor called time. That's perfectly appropriate. Another thing that you may see in some more advanced use case diagrams are system boundaries, where you'll see a line surrounding a whole bunch of cases and actors, and that kind of represents the system. And if you've got multiple systems that communicate and connect back and forth, you may have a large diagram with this system with its use cases, and this system over here with its use cases with system boundaries around them. Connecting the relationships on the use case diagram, we'll use lines, or we'll use dashed arrows, and I'll show them and how they're used. I'm going to show the actor-case relationship, the case-to-case relationship, and there are a couple of other relationships, the generalization between actors and generalization between cases, and I'm not going to go into those in this brief introduction. I'm just going to go into the actor case and the case-case relationships of the use case diagram. So let's take a look at this use case diagram for a restaurant system. Okay, I have a diner, right? And the diner orders food. So the diner triggers the order food use case. The waiter is involved, or waitress, or wait staff, or whatever you want to call them. But that's not their title, that's their role, right? So the waiter also is part of the order food. Waiter then would send the food order to the kitchen to have the food made, where the cook is involved, and you can see that the cook is another actor in the system where the cook makes the food. When the food is done, the food is delivered to the diner by the busser. Now, could the busser be a cook that runs the food out to the table? Yes. Could the busser be a waiter? Could the waiter have to run the or waitress have to run the food out to the table? And the answer is yes, but this is the role. We're not talking about the titles, we're talking about their roles. So the waitress or waiter may be a busser. The waitress or waiter may also be the cashier, because notice the last use case would be pay. The diner's involved with pay, and the cashier is involved with pay. Could the waiter be the cashier? Yeah, of course. Lots of restaurants, they take your money at the table, but others they don't. And so you can see here are use cases, and now I put arrowheads on these flows between the actor and the use case, and I probably didn't need them there. They probably don't mean anything, but it also kind of shows the direction of some of the data flow, maybe. Um, what else is interesting here? Oh, remember that, well, let me just define this, that a flow, a connection, cannot go between two actors. Actors cannot directly go from one actor to another without a use case being in the middle. So an actor, a diner, can't talk to a waiter without there being a process in the middle. What's the process? Drink refill. That would be a process. What's the process? Um, Checking for satisfaction. That would be a process, right? Every interaction between a diner and a waiter or a waitress has a use case. Now, there are some interactions between a diner and a waiter that might not be. Maybe they know each other from the community or from somewhere else, and they're just having a chit chat. Well, that wouldn't be part of the system, would it? That would be external. That would be something outside the system. So you kind of get the idea, and each one of these ovals will become a casual and fully dressed use case. There's also a kind of a special relationship between two use cases, and there are a couple of special relationships. And the first is the extend relationship. For instance, let's think about, again, still here at the restaurant, still have my diner, and the diner orders dinner. Now, I didn't put the other actor there because I wanted to focus on these two use cases. So the diner orders dinner. Well, it can be extended into the diner orders dinner and drinks. Now, um, you can see that the first case gets extended and extra things get added onto it in the second use case. Now, all of the features of the first case are there, but the second case, again, expands on it. Why do I say that the diner ordering dinner and drinks would expand upon ordering dinner? Well, to order drinks, the waiter or waitress may have to do a ID check, um, check to make sure you're of legal age. So there are extra steps that the waiter or waitress has to go through in the order dinner and drinks. That so all the same steps as order dinner plus some extra. So we can think of this as this case extends this previous case. In addition to extending a case, we may have a use case that would be included in several other cases. For instance, here, a shopper walks into a store and wants to purchase tobacco. Well, there's an age limit, right? You got to be 18 to buy, or 21. I don't know what you got to be, but you got to have it. You got to be of age to buy tobacco. So it includes the check ID process. If another shopper walks into the same store and tries to purchase alcohol, well, we've got to check their ID. So it's the same process. Now, the dates are different, the years are different, but it's the same process, isn't it? And then I've got a moviegoer walks into a movie theater to purchase a ticket for an R-rated movie. Well, you got to be 17 to purchase a ticket for an R-rated movie. Haha, that includes the check ID process. Now, are you going to have one business that where you can purchase tobacco, alcohol, and a movie ticket all at the same store? Probably not, but it just kind of shows how we can break up these use cases into um, subcases that can then be included back. It's sort of like extending, but it's not really either because I guess you could say check ID is extended to purchase tobacco and check ID would be extended to purchase alcohol. But that really doesn't make sense because it's not taking it and just adding more stuff to it. This is a totally separate little sub process that we can split out. And by creating this separate little use case and including it in the others, we get a better, again, a good understanding of what this whole use case and how the cases all apply to each other and how the actors are involved in the cases. Here's an odd example that just popped into my head. Let's go through this one. This is the idea of buying a new car. So we've got a shopper, he's an actor. We've got a salesperson, he's an actor. We've got the finance person, who handles the financial transaction. They're a person, and we've got a bank. They're an entity. They're an actor in the system. So let's see. A shopper browses the lot. Okay, that would be an act, right? That's a use case. Browse the lot. There's a use case of the shopper wants to do a test drive. Well, to do a test drive, you've got to get a salesman involved because they won't give you the key unless your salesman's there. So you can see how the salesperson was involved in the test drive. But a shopper can browse the lot without a salesperson. I kind of like to go after hours, so they don't bother me. Also, the shopper can browse the web and browse the web inventory and never even test drive or see a salesperson. The shopper then makes an offer. Whether they buy it online or whether they buy it on the ground, it doesn't matter. The shopper makes an offer, says, yeah, it's got a sticker of blah, blah, blah. I'll give you this. And the salesperson takes that offer and gets the finance person, and they go through the offer and they then, no, how about this? And the shopper says, no, how about this? And you negotiate through that make offer process with your salesman, the finance person, and your shopper. Once the make offer is done, you purchase. Now, I probably should have an arrow from shopper down to purchase because that's important. And the purchase, actual part of the purchase, the salesman goes away. The salesman's actually not even in the room because you're in the room with the finance person who's doing the financial paperwork and all of that to purchase the car. If it's a cash purchase, it would just be a purchase, right? But if you've got to purchase and get a loan at the car dealership, and again, the shopper probably should be connected to that also. It extends, and I didn't write the word extends there, but purchase and get a loan would extend purchase because all of the process of getting a title, of all of that, the warranty information, all of that applies to purchase. And it would also apply to purchase and get a loan. But if you're purchasing and getting a loan, then we've got to have the bank actor, and we've got to include a credit check, and we've got to do a whole bunch of more stuff. But if you walked in and paid cash for the car, then you don't have to bother with a credit check. Finance person will take a certified check or pile of Benjamins real happily for a car. So you can kind of see, is this a complete picture of how buying a car at a car dealership works? No. But to start with this diagram, put it on a whiteboard or to put it on a projector, to sit down with your users, to sit down with the salespeople, to sit down with the managers, to sit down with the purchase people, to sit down with the owners of the business and go through this. And they go, well, no, it works like this instead. Okay. And you make notes about each of these use cases, and their names may change as you start to develop the casual work case work. Yeah. But this gives this is worth a 1,000 words in trying to figure out where your use cases go and where they are and how they all fit together. That concludes this really brief introduction to a drawing use case or use case diagrams. This presentation is copyright 2020 by James Imrino, PhD. All rights are reserved. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact me at jrenault@shawnee.edu. And I'd like to say thanks for watching.